player not getting treated right, I'm going to speak up and speak out about it because we all could agree on this. And this one thing being that no player in the WNBA since 2024 have took the amount of fouls, the assaults that Caitlin Clark has. And I'm telling you right now, it has to be eliminated, abolished in some shape, form, or fashion, man. We just had an incident take place yesterday in a basketball game where a player was shoved and pushed and all that, man. But we have to look at this thing in its entirety.
Recent discussions have emerged regarding potential civil rights violations concerning Caitlin Clark within the WNBA environment. Multiple advocacy groups have begun reaching out to federal authorities, requesting investigations into what many consider systematic targeting of the young athlete. This represents a sensitive yet significant matter that demands careful examination. The situation involves potential civil rights breaches that numerous observers believe warrant federal oversight. Many advocates have consistently pushed for Department of Justice involvement in reviewing these circumstances. Evidence suggests Clark has faced numerous incidents that many classify as assaults during her court appearances.
Man, but we have to look at this thing in its entirety, and that is this league being pretty much ran like a UFC wrestling match, bro. They're not calling certain fouls on certain players, but especially when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's just almost like they want her to get hurt. They want her to get smacked and pushed and all of this, which I know, just like everybody else know, drama sells. But at what cost and what expense? I said this before too. What if Caitlin Clark was your daughter?
A distinct pattern appears to exist targeting this particular athlete. Supporters argue for protective measures regardless of public opinion, emphasizing fair treatment for all players within the league. Statistical analysis reveals no other WNBA player throughout 2024 has endured comparable levels of aggressive contact and questionable officiating decisions that Clark has experienced. Many believe such treatment must cease through immediate intervention and policy changes. Recent incidents continue highlighting these concerns, with various players experiencing similar aggressive encounters during games. Critics argue the league operates more like combat entertainment than professional basketball, with selective enforcement of rules and regulations.
What if Caitlin Clark was your daughter? What if Caitlin Clark was your aunt, your niece, somebody in your family that was taking the type of beating that she has been taking night in, night out? Part of the reason why she's not playing right now is because of this beating. Well, I'm not the only one tripping off this, because none other than the Wall Street Journal up in New York released an article, which I'm going to show you guys some of it because I don't believe in paying for news. I just think that is just the wrongest thing ever. But they put out this article, man.
Officials appear inconsistent when addressing violations, particularly those involving Clark, creating what many perceive as deliberate negligence regarding player safety. Some suggest this approach prioritizes controversy and viewership over athlete well-being and protection. Questions arise about personal connections to such treatment. Critics ask how supporters would react if their own family members face similar aggressive targeting night after night during professional competition. Clark's current absence from play partially stems from accumulated physical stress from these encounters. The Wall Street Journal recently published analysis addressing these concerns titled "The WNBA and Caitlin Clark Rights." The publication argues that if league leadership fails to protect superstars from hostile environments, governmental intervention becomes necessary.
Man, instead of the WNBA and Caitlin Clark civil rights, if the league won't act to protect its superstars from a hostile environment, the government should do so. Finally, somebody big is stepping up to the plate to talk about this. Now, me personally, I can't speak for everybody else. I've been campaigning for the Justice Department, to step in and address this, because at some point there has to.
This major publication's involvement marks significant escalation in addressing these issues. Long-term advocates have consistently called for Department of Justice engagement, arguing these situations potentially constitute hate crimes requiring federal attention.
For the Justice Department to step in and address this, because at some point there has to be hate crime. There has to be something. This ain't a physical contact sport. This ain't a combat sport. I should say that. Basketball isn't a combat sport like boxing, UFC, and all these other like combat sports. Basketball is just a little contact here and there, but nothing to garner what Caitlin Clark has been facing. Now, we're going to read some of this. It says Caitlin Clark has done.
Rather than protecting this transformative talent, league leadership appears to ignore systematic targeting of Clark, treating her success as problematic rather than beneficial. Legal experts suggest Clark possesses legitimate grounds for litigation against the league based solely on documented targeting patterns. Such lawsuits could create substantial financial liability for the WNBA organization. Recent data confirms Clark's exceptional impact on league metrics, including merchandise sales and viewership numbers. However, reports simultaneously document that she receives more technical violations and hard fouls than any other player in comparable situations. The journal emphasizes that when leagues fail protecting superstars from hostile environments, governmental intervention becomes appropriate and necessary.
Has been facing. Now, we're going to read some of this. It says Caitlin Clark has done for the Women's Basketball Association what Michael Jordan once did for the NBA. Made it more valuable, watchable, and marketable. Instead of protecting this transformational star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Miss Clark, treating its greatness assist as if she were a PR headache that approaches could turn into legal liability for the WNBA. And I've been saying this, my goodness, Caitlin Clark could sue this league.
Public response to these discussions remains mixed. Some dismiss concerns as exaggerated reactions, while others praise the analysis as brilliant and necessary. Critics suggest certain incidents involve exaggerated responses, promoting narratives about fabricated contact. Recent examples continue demonstrating problematic patterns. Similar aggressive incidents involving other players result in immediate ejections and upgraded penalties, while comparable situations involving Clark often receive minimal consequences initially.
It's my goodness. Caitlin Clark could sue this league, guys, just for targeting her in general. Just for her being targeted could garner a lawsuit from Caitlin Clark team. And the Wall Street Journal coming out with this, could something be in the works? I'm not saying that it is, but could something possibly be in the works with Caitlin Clark team in looking into this thing as a hate crime and as something going on? Since she has joined the league, Caitlin Clark Impact has.
This inconsistency in officiating standards raises additional questions about fair treatment and equal protection under league rules.
The league, Caitlin Clark Impact has been significant, merchandise sales and all of that. But a report came out last year stating that Caitlin Clark Impact and her being targeted, she had more pretty much technical hard fouls put against her more than any other player. Now, Ken Swift put this out. If the league won't act to protect its superstar from a hostile environment, the government should do so. Now, that was the article there.
Such action could potentially create devastating financial consequences for the organization. The league's current financial challenges would pale compared to potential lawsuit settlements and damages. If Clark assembled legal representation pursuing investigation and litigation, the resulting discoveries could prove extensive and damaging to league operations. The combination of documented evidence, public attention, and legal expertise could fundamentally alter WNBA policies and leadership approaches. These developments continue evolving as more stakeholders examine the situation and consider appropriate responses to documented concerns about player safety and equal treatment within professional women's basketball. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, provided an update regarding Caitlin Clark's groin injury during a recent ESPN appearance.
The greatest, getting them together and getting them to win. Like whatever about the Connecticut Sun team last year, like the Connecticut Sun team her first year with no Bree Jones, no Jonquel Jones, and they only really brought in Beck Allen, and suddenly they stay the same seed and nearly make the finals. Like, it was a big one. But we saw here today, Caitlin Clark remains without timetable for return. Most important thing for Caitlin's long-term health is getting her back to 100% before we put her back on the floor.
White refrained from using overly optimistic language about the situation, which has been appreciated given her coaching reputation. White has demonstrated strong coaching abilities throughout her career. While some may question certain aspects of her strategy, including rotation decisions, her overall game planning and defensive schemes are solid. Her greatest strength lies in maximizing team potential, getting squads to perform above expectations. This was evident during her tenure with the Connecticut Sun, where despite losing key players like Brianne January and Jonquel Jones, the team maintained their seeding and nearly reached the finals after adding only DeWanna Bonner. Currently, Clark remains without a specific return timeline.
Getting her back to 100% before we put her back on the floor. And that's the thing. It doesn't hurt, which means see you in 2026. She's fine. Like, if we're gonna be honest, Caitlin Clark, apparently she's already doing full court sprinting. If Caitlin Clark was out for the season, she wouldn't be trying to rehab an injury in Russia. If Caitlin Clark was out for the season, she would be sitting out right now for a month. She would not be practicing by herself. She wouldn't have her own trainers. She wouldn't be showing up to the game yesterday in like gear.
White emphasized that the priority is ensuring Clark reaches full health before returning to competition. The injury appears to be manageable since Clark is reportedly already engaging in full court running drills. If Clark were sidelined for the entire season, she likely wouldn't be maintaining such an intensive rehabilitation routine. The fact that she continues training, working with personal trainers, and appearing at games in team gear suggests a return is anticipated. Had the injury been season-ending, a different approach would be expected, complete rest rather than active preparation. The absence of a firm timeline likely relates to the team's current road schedule.
Practicing by herself, she wouldn't have her own trainers. She wouldn't be showing up to the game yesterday in like gear. She would be sitting out. She was injured. My prediction is there's no timetable because I think like they're on an away trip. What she's not been doing is basketball activity. She's been playing full speed. I think a lot of people, ESPN, have predicted this kind of week here, where they go and have a 3-game homestand here between Saturday the 9th and Friday. Or sorry, between Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 17th. They're home.
Clark has been maintaining basketball activities at full intensity. Many analysts predict her return during the upcoming home stretch, which runs from Saturday the 9th through Sunday the 17th, followed by a manageable trip to Connecticut for an Eastern Conference matchup. Following that period, the team enjoys a substantial break from Sunday to Friday, providing additional recovery time. Given the current momentum and the struggles of upcoming opponents like Chicago and Dallas, there's speculation about when Clark might return. She will definitely miss the current road games and at least 2 contests this week. Saturday's game also appears unlikely.
Between Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 17th. They're home. And then it's to Connecticut, which isn't that bad a journey. It's an Eastern Conference trip early on a Sunday. And then after that, geez, I didn't realize they've got a Sunday to a Friday break. So, look, I think there's a the reality is there is a shot that Caitlin Clark, I thought Caitlin Clark was going to come back for this game here or this game here. With the way the team is rolling and how bad the Sky are, how bad the Wings are, I don't think she's back for either of them.
By next Tuesday, she may resume practice, though game participation remains doubtful for both the Washington matchup and the following contest. 2 potential return scenarios emerge, either a test run against Connecticut with 4 days of subsequent rest, or a return during the doubleheader against Minnesota, 1 home, 1 away within 3 days. Many expect the Minnesota series, though the Connecticut game on August 16th seems more probable, marking approximately 1 month of absence. This timeline would provide 9 remaining regular season games, essentially half a season of play totaling 22 contests. During Clark's absence, the Fever shouldn't struggle against weaker opponents.
So she's definitely going to be out for the away trip. She's definitely going to be out for 2 games this week. She's almost certainly going to be out for the game on Saturday. Next Tuesday, I think she'll be back kind of practicing. I don't think she's back for this game. I don't think she's back for the Washington game. And I think it's one of these. I think either they're going to test her out against the Connecticut Sun because they have 4 days off. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They have 4 days off here. So I think either they're going to test her out and play her against the Sun, see how she reacts. And
Their upcoming schedule includes Los Angeles, Phoenix, Chicago, Dallas, and Washington. The Sparks matchup could prove challenging, while Phoenix typically presents difficulties, especially with home crowd support. Even without certain key players, Phoenix might prevail. However, victories against Chicago, Dallas, and Washington appear achievable without Clark. Even a 2-3 record during this stretch maintains playoff positioning.
They have 4 days off here. So I think either going to test her out and play her against the Sun, see how she reacts and give her a 4-day rest so it's not a lot of time, or they're going to go and play her in this game here, and where they play the Lynx twice, one home, one away in 3 days. So a lot of people are saying they expect it to be this Lynx game. I'm predicting the Sun game on the 16th of August, which is a month, which basically means she's been out a month. And that gives her, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gives her 9 games to end the season, which means she's played.
A 3 Mighty 2 performance would be ideal, though 4 Mighty T's one seems unlikely given the team's recent pattern. Realistically, 3 Mighty 2 represents the best case scenario during this period. Should they defeat Los Angeles, they'll likely drop one of the 3 consecutive games that follow. Ultimately, reaching the Connecticut game as a 5th seed would be advantageous, providing Clark with some game experience before facing tougher opponents.
Which means she's played essentially half the season. She'll have played 22 games on the year. She'll have played half the season. And the thing is like the Fever shouldn't need her to beat the Sky. They play the Sparks, the Mercury, the Sky, the Wings, and the Mystics in that time. They should. Let's just say what they should win. This Sparks game probably too close to call. I don't see them beating the Mercury in Phoenix. I think the Mercury.
Other than the Sparks game with Clark, they should handle Seattle at home, matching up well when certain players are absent.
In Phoenix, I think the Mercury, I think they really got up for that game with the way the crowd helped them. I think the Mercury beat them in Phoenix, even without Satu. And I think all around that, like the Sky, they beat the Sky. I think they beat the Wings. I think they beat both of these teams without Caitlin. And the Mystics, they should beat the Mystics without Caitlin. So like, you're looking, even if they go 2-3, they're still in really good shape. They should go 3-2 in these 5 games.
Even losing 2 games, they should defeat Seattle, though that might not significantly impact playoff seeding. The injury situation raises questions about long-term management. A groin strain that isn't severe doesn't necessarily benefit from extended rest. Clark's game relies heavily on explosive movement and cutting, making conditioning crucial for preventing re-injury. The assessment suggests she's likely near full health, possibly completely recovered.